I just think the nature of this city is about generating energy, generating possibilities. That's I think, one of the things that people come here to do.
I get exhausted by the variety. I get exhausted by how much energy goes into being different and new, and also how unstable it is. I have no health insurance in America. I barely have a good job. You know, I'm sort of going month to month, putting together different part-time freelance things.
It can be a little fast, and as a visual person, a little overwhelming. It's almost as if you have to put your blinders on sometimes just to get through a day without taking it all in. I'm an artist. I've been working in New York for about 10 years now, and been seeking out different ways that I can just be able to work without having to have 1 or 2 part-time jobs, and I applied for residency in Arnhem in the Netherlands, where I'll be going this July. It's a foundation that has a number of artist studios, so my hope is that I will be meeting other artists. You know, Holland, from what I've heard, is a place that really encourages and funds artists in a pretty real way.
I'm really happy being over here. I'm really happy with my bicycle and my meager Dutch and riding and hanging out, and I feel at home here. This feels like my home.
Misschien een cadeautje. Kost €4,50. Nee, misschien.
Arnhem is a small town, but personally I come from a very, very small town. So I'm used to living in the countryside, and I'm used to living in New York City, which is a very large city. So for me, it was actually a comfortable scale. I was given a very large studio, at least by my standards back in the United States, large.
Lomer, that is a section that is characterized by people, they seem to be Middle Eastern. Boy, the sun is nice today, isn't it? I expected us to be doused with rain every day and cold wind.
And what you find is that this winter here is not nearly as bad as New York.
Well, I don't know about that.
It's beautiful.
The Dutch approach towards immigration, I think there's a requirement that people learn the Dutch culture, they learn Dutch history, they learn the Dutch language. I think that's a rational approach.
You can't live here and not be aware of a huge problem with integration and with immigration and with the ways in which the Dutch do or don't accept the Moroccans and the Turkish, and vice versa, and the ways in which these are becoming really big problems.
I think it's just growing pains. You know, it's whenever you bring groups of people together, I mean, everything isn't gonna, there has to be a new contract. Like, how's this space gonna work now with everyone bringing traditions to this moment?
There are some Dutch students in my classes who, when the issue of multiculturalism comes up, seem to have the attitude of stamp it out.
You hear, I've heard that a million times. We get stabbed by some Moroccan. That's a tough subject for me, and I think it's something that isn't really my right to talk about because it's not my home. And when I'm in Amsterdam and I see the trouble they're having, I can only look at it as a New Yorker. And as a New Yorker, we have people from 180 different countries, and it's a mess, but it is what it is. At the end, I much prefer to have a lot of good cultures in a lot of conflicts than to sort of have the status quo of how it's always been. When I think of the Dutch, I think of inventing New York and inventing oil painting, two of the most enthusiastic, most wonderful things on the planet. Which is another shame about the whole Moroccan mess. They sort of invented the most multicultural, the most confused, mixed up everybody from everywhere society, and they sort of lost their footing with their own multiculturalness. A lot of it just has to do with welfare being bad. I don't think that universal health care or taking care of retirees or having school for everybody, all of that's fine. I just think that on paper it may look good to give somebody a bike, an apartment, and enough money to get started, but a lot of people don't end up getting started when they have that.
This is not original, right?
This is
you know, as much as I love Golden Age painting and all those canal houses, I mean, how many slaves were traded that funded that? It's not like everybody doesn't have some sort of mess behind them.
the room where they lived was more the canal room.
Right.
So that's more the room up there. So this was really a room for a special occasion.
Right. I just feel like you walked into a painting. It's so exactly like it was back then, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Holland became very, very rich exploiting other peoples. So if you take a look at it from karma, maybe something has just come back.